Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Day Darling. Actually, we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today. Well, this will probably be quite a short episode, I think, today, because, you know, I'm going to, I was going to say, unfortunately, be busy later today. It's not unfortunately, it's more like, it is just, I will be. So, you know, I'm recording this in the morning, you know, I don't have a backlog, things are just like, ooh, well, it's not really bad because, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if I keep some YouTube streak going. I'm just sort of here for it, I suppose, in the first place. But anyway, what can we talk about today? I'm not really sure. No, there's nothing really on my mind, but good morning, everyone. Right now in Fawnhollow, it's 10:44 a.m. on Thursday, December 22nd, 2022. What could I talk about today? I feel like there was some big, like, gaming news which happened recently, but I can't remember what it was. And I saw it again, and I was just like, oh yeah, I want to see, like, you know, I wanted to say something or about that, but I genuinely can't remember what on earth I was thinking about. So I guess we'll talk about something else, completely random, like, I don't know, the fact that the leaves are falling off the trees. I don't know why, but I have a memory of when I first learned about I'm going to talk about deciduous trees this entire episode, maybe. It's only going to be a short episode anyway, so it's not like I've got all that much to say about that in the first place, but I remember when I first learned about deciduous trees and the fact that some trees lose their leaves, turn brown for the autumn, and then fall off for the winter. I remember it was in the UK they call it reception, which is sort of just like a thing between nursery and year one, which is, you know, that also might not mean anything to you, but it's like, it's sort of like kindergarten, I suppose. Except for our kindergarten sort of split for some reason into, like, multiple classes for whatever. Well, I shouldn't say that as if it's a norm. It's just what it was in my school, so maybe that's not really how it is in most places. But I remember just, you know, our teacher teaching us about, you know, leaves turning brown and then, like, falling off, because I was just like, why? You know, being I'm not going to say annoying kid, but curious kid, I suppose I was, being like, why do the trees do that? And it's like, you know, it's to conserve energy or something, because, you know, there's less sunlight in the winter or some, like, this is really testing my GCSE biology knowledge, but there's, like, less sunlight in the winter or something, so to conserve energy, and so the leaves wouldn't be producing much energy compared to, like, the moisture or something they lose in the end, so they, you know, turn brown and fall off and regrow them, because apparently that's somehow more energy efficient. Can you imagine that? Like, it being more energy efficient, just completely destroy something and then, like, remake it again the entire time. Like, I don't know, but I guess that means it probably uses a lot less energy to create leaves than I thought it did, or either that or they produce a lot more energy than I thought they did. Or, you know, the inversions of that, I suppose. We're contrapositive, if you're like. I don't know. I was trying to think of, like, a human analogy which would be equivalent, but it doesn't really make sense, because I was going to be like, oh, you know, you, like, shed all your hair for summer or something, and then you grow it all back in the winter because it's cold. Like, that doesn't really make sense. I mean, I guess, technically, but I mean, not technically from a sense that, you know, that's what people, well, I don't think people do that, but it's more like, I'm trying to think of, like, if it existed, if this sort of thing existed, this is what it'd be like on humans. But, you know, I don't really think that makes sense. I mean, it is just like a common thing in nature, you know, things like winter coats, etc., etc. Except for humans, we don't have a winter coats. Well, we do have winter coats, but then, you know, you had to buy them from, like, Zara or something, which is not exactly the same thing, I would say. I would say it's a little bit different buying a coat compared to actually, you know, just sort of like wearing, you know, having one grown out naturally for you. But anyway, basically, deciduous trees, turns out they kind of got it sorted. Maybe? I don't really know. It seems a bit lame, but you can't, you had to give up for an entire season of doing things. Well, and, you know, maybe that's just like winter in general, I suppose, you know, happens with, well, all living creatures. I don't think many living creatures are just like, whoa, winter is now my time to well, I guess, like, pathogens. But, like, winter's my time to thrive, you know, this is the best time for the hunt, this is the best time to get food, and, you know, this is the best time just to go out. Like, I mean, even, like, those which are in nature, which are particularly adapted for winter, I mean, it's more like, I mean, those which do well in winter are those which are specifically adapted for winter so much more than taking advantage, I suppose, of winter in the first place. Well, that I know of. Again, I'm not a biologist, I'm not, or, you know, zoologist, or what's the study of plants called? I'll say florist, but that's not right. What is the study of plants called? I don't know. Herbology? That doesn't sound right. Let's see. Study of plants. Botany. Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. Botanist. I'm not a botanist. I'm not a zoologist. I don't know if there be not people things in nature which are specifically like, yes, winter is my time. Winter is my time. Winter is my jam. You know, even we as humans, I suppose, and have to adapt it. Well, I mean, I guess technically we've adapted to all the seasons, sort of. Not like we natural. Well, I mean, there are some natural adaptations. I mean, we do sweat in the summer. We do have like our hair stand on end to trap like a layer of air between the skin and the cold air or something. No, don't go, Lily. And that gives us like insulation or something. That's right? Yeah, when it's hot, like our hairs like lie flat down or whatever, and then when it's cold, it stands on end to trap like air. I'm not really sure how that works, but I guess that's the sort of like, you know, because in your head, you know, conceptually, air is sort of just like this thing which sort of permeates everything around you, and it's sort of just like, oh yeah, you can trap air just using the hairs on your body. You know, I don't know if anyone else was like that when we first learned about it. They were just like, what? How does that work? You know, how does a hair, just like this tiny like thin stick, I suppose, sticking upwards, trap air, which is sort of just like permeating all around it? And honestly, I'm still not really sure how that works. In actuality, I'm sure trapping air is not really like trapping air. It's not like it's captured it in like a net, which is probably what I'm picturing when I'm subconsciously, I suppose, when you hear about this sort of thing. But or when I heard about this sort of thing, and you know, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. When really it's probably just something like, oh, you know, the way the hairs like disrupt the convection currents or something, or the airflow means it starts like swirling around in that area more than it does like escaping or something, which is, you know, scientific but significantly more boring an answer. Or maybe not more, maybe it's more interesting if anything now I think about it, because that's kind of cool, isn't it? I don't know where I'm going with this. The long and short of what I'm trying to say is, there's nothing what I'm trying to say. I'm just sort of spinning yarn about deciduous trees and forests and that sort of thing, which are very much a norm. I suppose in the UK, you know, and depending where you live in a colder climate, you'll probably have a lot more evergreen trees, which also, you know, do I have any more tree facts? I mean, I'm not really like a tree fact person. I just know like things I've learned from school, which is that like the same thing? I guess it feels a bit different, but things like, I remember a teacher, I don't know how many of this is true or not, by the way, so I am putting a lot of faith in my teachers for actually teaching me correct things, but there's a thing like, if you get an evergreen sapling and then place it in a deciduous climate, because the things with evergreen trees is they can only grow during the warmer months, the rest of like, which is only like 3 months of a year or something, the rest of the months are too cold, where they sort of just like stockpile energy or something, or they're just like really efficient in the winter months, something like that, I don't remember. That's why they have like, why pine needle like leaves are very common in evergreen trees, is because they let out less moisture or something. But yeah, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, but because they can only they only have 3 months a year to particularly grow in, they grow insanely quickly during those 3 months a year. So it was something like, our teacher was talking about it and being like, oh, so if you ever wanted, you know, to plant trees in your garden and have them grow really quickly, this is from a UK perspective, right? We're living in a UK climate, then you should get evergreen trees and plant them in your backyard, because they will just grow like wildfire, because now they will have that crazy growth rate, but instead of it just being restricted to 3 months a year, they can do it now for all 12 months of the year. They basically grow like quadruple the rate or something that they would normally grow at. Because normally if you like plant an oak tree, you're going to have to wait like 30 years for it to be like big enough to, you know, make sure you can't see your neighbour's garden anymore. But with the evergreen trees, I guess that's like 5 years or something. That's not how maths works. Hold on. 7.5 years. I don't actually know if that's, you know, don't quote me on the numbers. I guess oak's kind of like quite a slow growing tree, or, you know, a long growing tree, you know. But it was probably like faster deciduous trees. I imagine like a birch tree or something grows quite fast. I don't actually know if that's true or not. Again, don't quote me on any of this. I'm not an expert in climate. It just reminds me of one geography lesson I had, where basically we were learning about climates, and we had there's this table in the exercise book where it basically had like climate and like just like the weathers you were seeing on climate, a short description of it, and like the location you'd find it on Earth. And you know, the exercise was basically just like, you know, work from the textbook and, you know, make notes from that table in your book. And then, you know, I just, you know, I just remember just like writing it across and that sort of thing. And I remember It was just me, you know, and like my friends. We were just talking. It was a very casual sort of exercise. I don't know why it was such a casual lesson that day. It might have been a substitute teacher day. That might have been why. But then, like, I remember one of the students who, you know, like sat across from me or something, just being like, "Wait a minute, this can't be right." Like, and I was like, "What are you talking about? Of course, right? You know, it's a textbook." No, I didn't say things like that. But I was just like, basically, sort of like, "What are you talking about?" He was like, and he was like, "Are you sure you just meant to copy the table out of a textbook?" And I was like, "What else are you meant to do to make notes?" And he was like, "Yeah, but have you actually read them?" And I was like, "No." I mean, I read it, and it was something like deciduous forest, I mean, like, you know, monsoons and like hot summer weather or something, and it's like often found in like the north of like, near the Arctic Circle or something. And I was like, "Oh, wait a minute." And then I read the actual exercise properly, and it was like, "Oh, it's actually a mix and match. You're meant to correctly like write out the table with each record being correctly attributed to each other." Why do I remember this? I just do. So no, I guess the moral of that anecdote is I'm not an expert on. Well, actually, I guess the actual moral is I you know, read a question, RTQ, as I often say for exams. But what I was going to say was like, I'm not an expert in I'll say tropics. That's not the right word. What's the word? Not environments, but like I literally said the word earlier, and now I'm having a bit of jamais vu where I can't remember it anymore. I'm not an expert in weather zones. That's not right. What's a word? Is it environments? I don't think it's environments. A word I want. I genuinely can't remember it anymore. I keep wanting to say random things which start with T, like troposphere or tropical zone, but time zone. And it's like those aren't even relevant. Well, I mean, you could try and argue for them to be relevant, but not particularly relevant. I'm going to be honest. I also have just realised I've pre-recorded for Christmas and Christmas Eve episodes, but I've not made custom thumbnail arts for them, so I'm going to have to do that at some point. I just kind of forgot. So if they ended up getting uploaded and I forgot to actually edit them in the end, then that's my bad. Sorry about that, a little bit of a pause, but we were talking about like deciduous trees or something. I don't really know if I got much more to say about deciduous trees. What's my favourite type of deciduous tree? Okay, hold on. Like, what common ones are there? I'm sorry, I'm only really gonna name ones which are common in the UK. So we've got like the oak tree, the elm tree, ash tree, birch tree. I don't really know much about these sort of trees. Like, I mean, I feel like the oak is quite a very sort of stereotypically British one. Whether it actually is or not, I don't particularly know. It's more like I don't know. And it's like, I feel like it's like a symbol of many sort of just like, you know, like Canada's got like the maple leaf as a symbol, as a logo for something. You know, the UK they like to use the oak leaf for whatever reason. I think it's oak leaf. It's the one with that sort of like little bit of a like curvy, bumpy side. That's the oak leaf, right? I'm imagining it in my head. Yeah, oak leaf. You know, I feel like if you own like a nature trust or something in the UK, you know, the only reasonable logo you could have is an oak leaf. That's obviously not true, by the way. Just from like from multiple perspectives, from both like a ecological and from both a design standpoint. But it's just sort of like, you know, it comes to mind. Or maybe that's just because I only know like a couple of nature trusts, or maybe like one, or anything which I know which is kind of nature related and UK based. Is this we always use like an oak tree, oak leaf, or an oak tree, I suppose. You know. Sorry about that little bit of a pause again. Oak leaf, yes. So something like that. I don't know. Acorns. Does the oak tree even like exist? Not exist. Come from UK. Oak tree origin is probably not natively from UK, I'd imagine. Stone oaks are native to Southeast Asia. What? A tan oak occurs in western United States. I don't really know. So it's not even from UK, but we still sort of like taking it as a symbol of our ecological climate. It's a family of beech tree. Oh. An oak is a type of beech. I feel like there's a good joke in there somewhere. Not that I can think of one off the top of my head, but I was like, well, what sort of where's the oak tree go on holiday? To the beach. Ha ha ha. Just tons and tons of jump cuts today. But probably means I should just round off this episode here, you know, a little bit shorter, sweeter than usual. I don't really have any much else to say about deciduous trees, to be perfectly honest. I wonder if that's the topic I've ever covered before. It does feel like a new one, but anyway. If you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Twitter, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time. Oh, not joy. I'm not happy. Not happy. Bye-bye for now.